exciting. I know I've been getting a lot of questions about it, so I'll just I guess I'll just let Eric get into it. I think he has some slides.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So here we are. We're in the throes of it here. And I know everything else is going around with finals and things like that. So a couple things that I wanted to just start with is, basically we've got kind of two biggish milestones that are coming up, right? The first one is your stories. So the goal of kind of getting to, by January 1st, is about 20,000 words of stories. Now, the reason for that one, right, obviously, is that what you'll find is if you have a bunch of words to start with, we'll be able to turn that into an interesting manuscript. Now, listen, not everyone gets to 20,000 words, right? Not everyone does. Like, it's not like, don't beat yourself up if you don't. But my hope is to get all of you guys as close as possible. But if not, don't worry about it. You've got time to get into the next phase of it. So, but the biggest thing I want you to know between sort of now and kind of the end of the year here is my goal is to help all of you figure out a plan to get there. So one of the big things is I'm going to be sort of reaching out to all of you guys in your quick update rooms to get kind of like just a quick 15 minutes on the calendar sometime in the next 2 weeks. So you may have finals and you may be like, Eric, you're the last person I want to talk to this week. Totally fine. Like, it's okay. But I'm going to try and get a chat with everyone over the next 2 weeks. Just check in, see how it is, see how I can help you get to that point. So that's the big goal. And then really the next goal after that one is to get this kind of into a first draft manuscript. Now, here's the biggest thing for all of you guys to know. Only about 2% of people that start a book ever get it finished to a first draft manuscript. We're like 95 to 98% of the people. And that is something that we're going to, Carson's betting on 100. So I wouldn't bet against Carson. But the big reason is we're going to get to this first milestone. We're going to help everyone kind of get to these stories and then turn it into something great. So just understand that this is sort of designed to sort of just give you a base level of content to sort of organize into your manuscript kind of starting on January 1. So don't stress if you're like, I don't have time this week or whatever it is. We'll get you there. It's all part of the process here. So I put together a couple of slides just to give you guys sort of a picture of what's sort of coming down the pipe here. So let me open these things here a little bit. So we're basically over winter break. We're really going to start in the process of creating this into a manuscript. That's really the big thing to start to think about. And again, you're going to continue writing stories with that sort of big target of January 1. So a couple things that I wanted to cover for Carson, then I'll let you guys kind of use the rest of your time here. Kind of what's coming, kind of my tips to succeed, and then this concept of kind of like publisher, pre-approval, approval, and then the book starter. So those are sort of the couple things that I'll try and run through very quickly tonight. But the biggest thing to remember is that you guys are publishing books, right? Like, this is kind of crazy to think, but Carson was able to come to the book launch last week. I think you shared the video of it. It's awesome. Now, I know that there's all kinds of stresses in your life. You got finals, you got all those other things. But I have to tell you that, like, every person in this room said this was the most fulfilling thing that they got to do, to literally hold it in their hands. And, like, so, remember that when you're thinking about, like, all the other stuff you have going on, you're writing a book. And, like, to physically have that in a hand is going to be pretty awesome. It'll make you feel great, these sorts of things. So as much as I don't want to say this, like, don't let the wrong thing stress you out. This shouldn't stress you out, number one, but just know that we're going to help you do something awesome. So keep that in the back of your mind. All of you are going to be publishing June 2019 in New York City. I've heard Nico's buying drinks for everyone there. So just, that's the rumor that I've been told. But anyway, that's where we're going to be in New York City then. So just keep that in the back of your mind. This is all towards something bigger. And so if you feel stressed, just remember, we're going to get there. All this goal is to make it happen. So what's ahead? What are we going to be doing kind of coming next? Well, remember, you're working on your first book. And one of the biggest things that you've just been doing is sort of maybe surprising a little bit is you've not really been writing a book yet. You've kind of been writing a bunch of stories. So what happens now? Well, here's kind of what's coming, right? For the next, really starting January 1, is we're going to take all those stories and start to turn them into a manuscript. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a picture of kind of what to expect really for kind of the 6 weeks post January 1. So what's going to look like is you're going to have this mess of stuff. You're going to have, interviews you've done, research. You're going to have a bunch of stuff that you've got down in Quip. And, what you're going to have is a lot of this stuff organized in your stories index. So this real stuff here is designed to kind of be all of the stuff that we're going to use to turn into your first draft manuscript. So what's going to happen really is we're going to start from a place that hopefully most of you have about, 18 to 22,000 words of first draft stories, that you've got those kind of at that point. What we're going to do is we're going to use those and turn them into kind of the structure that'll be the book, the sort of overall structure, kind of the table of contents. We're going to start doing this really kind of over winter break. From there, we're going to start to take that structure and map your stories all to it. So we're going to put all those stories and align to it. And then we're going to basically do something really cool. We're going to basically steal the structure of a chapter from another book that you admire. So maybe Nico is really like, hey, I want to make my book sound a lot like Malcolm Gladwell's Tipping Point, right? Maybe that's what you want to do. So we're going to basically borrow, or actually better said better, we're going to steal the structure that Malcolm Gladwell organized his chapter and then apply your content to it so that it will actually structure in that way. That's what we're going to do next. We've got about 30 or 40 different structures that we've already kind of mapped. And then we're going to help you do your draft introduction. All of these sorts of things are going to be what we're going to do kind of starting over this. So really like the goal over the next month or so is to keep just creating words, all your research, your interviews, your stories, all that sort of stuff. What we're going to be doing really kind of the week of December 17th, kind of hopefully after finals, is we're going to spend some time thinking about the structure of your book. What do you want this to sort of look like? How is the kind of rough table of contents going to be? And you're going to keep writing stories along this time. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to help you draft your first chapter, kind of in that sort of, Christmas, New Year's break. We're going to figure out how to do that one. Your developmental editor is going to be helping you along the way. And then we're going to kind of take it from there and start to pull this into the week of the 1st. We're going to do our draft chapter. So these are kind of what you're going to do that week. And really the goal of it, again, is to kind of take this entire thing and start to turn it into a manuscript. Again, you may feel like, whoa, that's like so soon. How am I going to be doing these things? I still got stories to write. Remember, your first draft of this is not due till February 11th. That's kind of the thing. And as soon as you guys, all 40 of you, hand me your first draft manuscripts, you're going to make my life, a living hell for a couple of weeks just reading all these things. Like, think of it, it's a lot of work on you. Just imagine me. I've got to read 40 times 30,000 words. Like, I can't even count that many. That's like 1 million words. All right. You just made me read 1 million words. So feel bad for me, people. But again, remember, you've got plenty of time to get there. Just keep writing stories. We're going to help you structure it into a mediocre first draft, and that's sort of the way that it's going to happen. So that's, again, kind of the high level of kind of what's coming for the next bit of time to get to that first draft manuscript. That's really the goal. February 11th is kind of a key date that we're all going to be running towards. Remember, the target for you is to try and get 20,000 words of stories by January 1st. And then to get our first draft on February 11th. So that's kind of like the structure of this sort of time. Your first draft will be about 25,000 to 30,000 words. That's kind of going to be the target for it. And again, you're going to we'll talk more about how to chunk these pieces out to get something great. So that's kind of the process that we're going to go from stories in the manuscript. We're going to be talking more details about it kind of once winter break comes along a little bit. But I wanted to at least lay out kind of what that next phase looks like a little bit. I'll talk about some of the other things in just a second here. But any kind of high-level questions about kind of like, what we're sort of doing to get to that first draft manuscript and those things. Anyone have any high-level questions? All right, I'll keep rolling here, and then we can open it up for any more things at the end. So again, so that's kind of the target. Put that on in their calendar. So questions like, what are the biggest things to how should you succeed? What do you worry about in this one? Well, here's the biggest one and the only one. Don't stress on this thing, right? Like, again, this is like, I have to say it, right? You're writing a book, and this is something very few people get to do, so don't stress yourself out about it. If you're feeling like behind or whatever it is, don't stress. I'm going to be sending all of you a little note to have a 15-minute chat with me, just to tell me where you're at, what you're struggled with, what you need help on, that sort of stuff. But remember, the goal of this is just to write a bunch of content, and then we're going to turn it into a first draft manuscript next. So that's really the biggest piece of feedback I have is just keep doing what you're doing. I have to say, and I've told Carson this several times, you guys are in a better place than most of the other classes that we've seen before this one. So I think you guys are in a great place. Now it's just continue to execute. Don't stress yourself out during finals. You've got this time here to do it. The next sort of milestone to deliver to your developmental editor is kind of the Christmas Day or so, to ship a bunch of stuff out. But for now and then, just do what you can do. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed, and we're on the way. So the last couple things I'll talk about is kind of what comes after that. So we have this cool relationship with New Degree Press. That's the publisher. And so what they basically agree to do is publish any of you guys that are approved. So we have a publishing board. It's actually made up of about 4 people. One of them is the former CEO of Lonely Planet, which is the largest publisher in Barnes & Noble. So they're the biggest publisher. So we've got a group of people that will actually approve you to be published. Now, kind of what does it mean to be pre-approved? So we do 2 points of approval. We have a pre-approval stage to be published, and we have a sort of an approval phase. So pre-approval is basically for any of you guys that wind up getting to the 20,000 word marks of stories that are of decent quality, and you get a recommendation for your DE by January 1st, you'll get pre-approval. Again, what that means is basically at that point, you can start things like your book starter. You can start, you can start booking time to get down to New York and those sorts of things. But basically, that's kind of what we want to do. So if you can get to 20,000 words of decent quality and a recommendation from your DE by January 1, you'll get that one. So just so you know, last semester, 24 of 25 of the people who went through this process were pre-approved. I always like to tell the story, and Carson should be proud of these two guys named Peter and Hunter. Were literally at 5,500 words about, both of them, literally 7 days before this deadline, right? 7 days. And Carson said to them, listen, guys, I will text you every single day to keep you on pace if you want to do this one. So both of them were like, we want to do it. Please text us. So Carson, you literally texted them every day, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah.
Every day. So, and in 1 week, both of them went from about 5,000 words over the course of a week to 20,000 words. Now, the true thing about Peter, so Hunter sort of started right away. Peter delayed 2 more days. He didn't start until 5 days before the deadline. And in 5 days, he did literally 20,000 words. So it's totally doable. And this is kind of the target I would do. What's that?
Don't recommend.
Don't recommend it. Yeah. I want you to know, don't worry if you kind of feel like you're getting behind. Plenty of time, you can do it, and it's totally doable. So, but that's really a key one. And again, the reason you want to do pre-approval is, again, at that point, you're going to be published. We'll set up a plan with you. We'll start doing things like filming filming promo content for you, all these sorts of things. So again, the goal is to target that one. Now, not everyone does it, right? So we have a standard approval point. So at this point, kind of the publisher will approve you at sort of this February 11th deadline. And that is if you have a 25,000 word plus manuscript, again, of decent quality and a recommendation from your DE. Assuming you hit that milestone by February 11th, your standard approval. If you don't hit that one, again, we'll work with you to figure that one out. And last time around, the 25th person out of the 25 was approved in this way. So it's totally doable. Remember, you've got plenty of time to get yourself there. These are really the designs to do it in that way. So I think, again, the cool part about it is once you're approved, that's when we start having you start thinking about things like covers and revisions and editing and marketing and Bookstarter and stuff like that. So the cool part is once you're pre-approved, you'll actually start to spend time working with New Degree Press on your cover, which is a cool thing. You'll be working on promo videos and that sort of stuff. So some cool things we start to do right away on that front in that way. So that's kind of why I think that happens. And again, I think the idea here is we want to get you set up to be able to be published. Have your travel plans, all that sort of stuff ready to go for this one. Whether you come to the New York time or not, that's what we're setting yourself up for on this sort of way. So last sort of thing here I'll talk about is the Bookstarter concept. So remember, one of the things that we talked about is the publishing part of this one, right? So one of the things that New Degree Press does, it's kind of interesting, is we basically have kind of a unique arrangement with them. And so what they do is they agree to publish. They agree to be your publisher for any of you that wind up getting approved. So again, the goal is to get all of you approved. Now, the cool thing that they do is they don't take any royalties, any rights, or anything in the book. You own the book, all of it, which means you can do a lot of different cool things. You can price it however you want. You can take it up, take it down. You can do new editions. You can give it to another publisher, whatever you want to do. You can give away as many copies as you want for nothing if you want. That's the cool part about New Degree Press. So the Bookstarter process is designed to help you do it. So here's what it is. In order to actually publish your book, meaning to actually create a physical copy, it costs about $3,000 to do that one. And that includes everything from sort of the editorial, meaning actually taking first drafts and getting editors in it, copy editors, that sort of stuff, having cover designers work on it, creating your ebook, doing layout, marketing, all these sorts of things. So it's about $3,000. So the way that the Bookstarter works is actually, for any of you that are approved, what we're going to do is actually film a video of you kind of talking about your book. And what you'll then do is you'll sort of share this around to family, friends, classmates, grandparents, whatever it is, and ask them to help support you. It's kind of like they're pre-buying your book and other things around it. Now, the cool part about this one is actually that this shit actually just works. It's really interesting to see. But what happens is we've had several authors who've already done this one, and several of them, their grandparents actually funded the whole thing right away. So it's kind of a funny thing that it's very, very rare for people in college to be publishing a book. So this Bookstarter way is sort of a little bit like Kickstarter, but for your book production. It's not required at all. None of you have to do it. But if you'd like to do it, that's certainly the option to have this one done. So does it work? it absolutely does, is the cool part about it. Again, assuming you go through the process, we'll help you do it. And again, that means we'll be sharing these out to the network. We'll do a bunch of things for you assuming you need it. But again, what we've been working with this really cool group of people. So we have a panel that's coming up this week that we'll send you all to it, from a guy who manages Bookstarter campaigns that have raised over $250,000. So many of you will be able to raise more than $3,000. You'll keep all of that. You'll be able to use it to do an audiobook if you want, whatever it is. We'll get on the details of those ones. But again, the cool part about this one is once you have a first draft of manuscript that's approved, you are in very, very rare air. Again, only about 30 college students per year publish a book. So we're going to help you sort of fund your production costs so you own the book. So here's sort of like the milestones in your Bookstarter. Again, the goal of sort of assuming you're pre-approved, or even if you're like close to being pre-approved, we'll film your video. We'll film the content for you, and we'll put it together and do a simple video for you. In February, we're going to help you launch this privately to your family and friends. And then in February through March, we're going to help you hit milestones. And then in June, you'll publish. Now, one of the questions people ask is they're like, listen, Eric, like, what if I don't hit all the milestones? Am I like on the hook for it? Absolutely not. This is an option for you. So again, the goal here is to help you publish in this way. If you want to do it, awesome. If you can't raise the funds, no one's ever going to come after you to do it. But don't worry, that's not an issue. Like, again, once you go through this process, you'll see. And again, we have this really cool group here. We've got a guy named Josh, who's one of the leaders in the country on Bookstarters. He happens to be a Georgetown alum, and so he's helping us pull this off. We've got a video producer named Marco who will be helping us do these sorts of things. So it'll be really cool. It's actually a really neat way. And one of the things we've learned is that people who do Bookstarters actually sell about 50% more copies because they get more people involved in all these sorts of ways. So that's kind of the backstory in the Bookstarter process. Again, I'll talk to you all about it individually. And once you're pre-approved, you'll actually have a call with the publisher, and I'll talk on those sorts of things on that front. So last couple things for you, right? I'm going to send you guys a note this week about doing one-on-ones with me. Try to grab that one. Remember, your next developmental editor submission is by Christmas Eve, so submit your next round of words for feedback. And then we'll start sessions over winter break. I think, Carson, we're only going to be doing them Sunday nights. Is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it'll be only Sundays. Mostly
on Sunday nights. So if you can't make Sunday nights, we'll follow up. But again, we'll always record them and stuff like that, and designed to keep people on pace in that front. So that was what I had. I know I said that, jammed a bunch of stuff in that few minutes. Questions, comments, thoughts on these sorts of things? Again, big milestones to keep in mind. January 1st, try to get your 20,000 words. At that point, again, assuming you get a positive recommendation from your development editor, which again, they're just looking to see is your story quality good, and you hit 20,000 words, you're approved. That part, some cool stuff starts to happen for you. The second milestone is February 11th, when we're going to try and get that first draft. And then again, we'll be kind of working on a series of sessions over the holidays. So I think on the 17th, we'll have a session, sort of the week of the 17th, the week of the Christmas week. We'll probably do that one a little differently because of Christmas, but we'll figure it out. And that sort of stuff, with the goal of helping you get something awesome.
Yeah. Any questions for Eric, guys?
Questions?
Anything like timing, Bookstarter, writing, anything?
I mean, the only question I have is potentially, so New Decree Press will help us with our book campaign, basically from start.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, basically, I mean, that's it. Right? Like the idea is like they're gonna help you run the whole thing. And again, what we'll be doing is actually we've got a panel of like 3 of the biggest Bookstarters that have been done that are going to be coming to Georgetown. So we're filming it, going to slice it up for you guys. You can see how Bookstarters work. It's kind of it's really, really cool, actually. It's a neat sort of thing. And Nico, as someone who's doing a book on marketing, right, it's basically a really powerful marketing technique to pre-market your book. And so that's sort of the magic of the entire thing, is that you effectively are doing a series of kind of like pre-rewards to people. And again, like the coolest thing that you're going to do is you're going to invite people to, pre-buy your book, pre-buy these sort of like prize sort of things. And the biggest thing you're going to give away is space on your dedication page. So, so Drew in his book, if your grandparents say, hey, listen, I love this. I want to basically back your book. You're going to recognize them on the dedication page that says, this book was made possible due to the generous support of blank, 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 and blank. So it's really cool. It works really, really well. And I think you'll find, again, we'll help you do it all. We'll help you pull the whole thing off, but it is a really neat way. And again, people who do these, you may well raise way more than you thought, and it's all yours. So once you cover the production costs, You can then, if you can decide to raise more, if you raise 3,000, you cover the book production cost. If you raise 500 more, you cover your audiobook. So they'll produce your audiobook for you. And then anything above that or anything above the 3,000 that you raise, you keep. So you could actually, fund a nice spring break trip or something like
Make
this.
a profit, yeah. Yeah, no, awesome. Is there any other questions for Eric or me? All right.
I just want to say that I love the beard, Carson.
Oh,
That's
thanks.
great. That was my only
Yeah,
comment.
well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good work, Alec. That is great. Like did you grow that like just this weekend?
No, this is just November. I started November 1st.
Wow, it's impressive.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to like cornrow it. That's the goal. So they look pretty cool. Yeah. All
right. Well, I'll get out of here, guys. And like I said, I'll shoot all of you guys a note to sort of do a one-on-one check-in and stuff like that. Again, don't stress on it. Whenever you want to do it in the next 2 weeks, just grab time with me, mostly just to check in. I don't have any sort of agenda. And the last thing that I want you to know, this has been super fun for me. As I told Carson this one, I have to say, like, this is actually more fun than teaching this as a normal class. So I've really enjoyed this process. And now my goal is to kind of help you guys get to these next phases. Several of you, for those of you that I haven't ever met in person, we're going to be able to do this, actually finally meet in person in New York. So Nico, I'm going to hopefully see you in New York now and all these other things. So anyway, there you go. Exciting stuff, guys. I'll let you guys get out of here, or I'll get out of here and let you guys do the thing.
All right. Yeah. See you, Eric.
Bye, Carson.
Yeah. So no, that's great. I hope you guys got a lot of good information from that. I'll just be honest. I have like a presentation due tomorrow, so I think I'm gonna end the meeting very early. Because I got to get to work. But if there's any other questions, you guys know how to reach me. You guys are all doing really great. I don't know if you mentioned this, but some of these were saying like they really enjoyed reading some of your second deliverables. A lot of you guys did a really great job. So that's really good to hear. But yeah, is there any last minute questions for me? If not, I'll just let you guys get out of here, and I gotta get working. So yeah. Anyone?
Nope.
All right, cool. All right, see you guys. Have a good rest of your week. See you next week.